Whoa. Nah. Good afternoon, y'all. You already know who it is. I'm Deron.
And I'm Ryan.
And Roast Talk. You know the vibes. All right. So this is the last episode of the semester. We're going to be back next semester, though, because we got a class together. And we have to, that's one of the requirements, I'm pretty sure.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. So we'll be back next semester. But, it's been 2 weeks, so we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, the playoffs. That's basically going to be the whole show because nothing else is really happening. Well, a couple of things have happened besides the playoffs, but it's the playoffs. Nobody cares about the other stuff until the finals over. But first of all, we was talking about this before the show. We're going to open up talking about the Warriors, right? So before I even talk about the Warriors in specific, I just want to give credit to the Clippers. They played a hard-fought series. Everybody and their mama, including me, thought that the Clippers would get swept. But they played hard. Shot Patrick Beverley, Lou Will, and them dudes. They just played hard, and they pushed them to 6. They won 2 games on the road in Oracle. Like, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. And they don't have a bona fide star. It's just a bunch of role players coming together. So, Clippers, they did their thing. They pushed them to 6, but KD closed them out, and he was just cooking them. I remember first 2 games, he wasn't being aggressive enough. I think the second game he had like 15 points or something like that, and he had 9 turnovers, and people were talking about, hey, as Kevin Durant has this, and then after the game, he's like, look, I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. And then after that, he goes and averages like 40 points for the next 5 games. So, what you think about that?
I mean, I think he's just Kevin Durant, He's just like a lot of people, and I know this is because of his quote unquote competitor not being here, LeBron James. A lot of people are talking about KD maybe being the best player in the world, which
playing like it so far.
He's playing like it. Which really a toss up to me. It could be either one of those two. But I think he's definitely let me put it this way. So ever since Kevin Durant's been on the Warriors, I've still had in my mind it's Steph Curry's team. Steph Curry's been on the team. Steph Curry's the OG member of the team. You know what I mean?
Like he drops 50 and 45, and I'm not gonna say nobody cares, but it's not as big as when Steph. Like when Steph scores 50, you see it all over social media.
It's a lot of highlights and stuff.
It's a lot of highlights. You see the deep threes, you see the crossovers, you see just stuff like that in the crowd getting. Because usually when he scores a lot, it's at home. So you see the crowd go crazy, and it's just I'm not gonna say it's blown out of proportion, but he's a more fancier player, I would say.
Yeah, more
fancy. Even though he's not a high flyer, he's more fancier. If you want to go to a game, you would want to see Steph play.
Yeah.
But with KD is he's about his business. Like he goes, he just gets his buckets. And he's gonna get his buckets efficiently. It's
but to me,
it's still is Steph's team, you're right now.
I feel like right now, it's completely Kevin Durant's team. Kevin Durant is completely the most valuable player. Before I used to think that. So used to think, and Stephen A. Smith, I believe, said this, or Colin Cowherd, somebody like that. They used to say Kevin Durant was the best player in the Warriors, but Steph Curry was the most valuable player for the Warriors. And I feel like that is no more. Now Kevin Durant is the Warriors. Kevin Durant is the face of the Warriors. No matter what happens right now, Kevin Durant is the Warriors.
Right now, yeah.
And he's made himself that way. He's made himself, he put himself into the conversation for the best player in the league. Because he keeps, no matter how tall you are, no matter how good you are at defense, he continues to destroy people on the offensive end.
It's like Patrick Beverley. He has such a big height advantage over Patrick Beverley. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easier for him to shoot over him because, he's almost a foot taller than him than the guy. But there's nobody that can guard this guy. Legit, there's nobody that you can really look at that can guard him. He's said in interviews that he has some guys that have defended him well. We're gonna get into that later. Oklahoma City, but there's nobody in the league is going to stop the guy, and he knows it. But the media, they keep poking him, and poking him is just not the good. It's not a good thing to do if you're the opponent. That is because actually no. Let me rephrase that. It's actually a good thing if you're the Warriors, right? Because if you have him playing, just playing, right, just playing for fun, he's not gonna have that chip on his shoulder. And if somebody in the media says something about him, saying, "Oh, you don't have that dog in you," you're not playing well. Once he hears that, because he looks at everything, I'm pretty sure he goes on his phone. His friends send him stuff. He looks at.
He's got a million accounts on Twitter.
Exactly. He sees everything. So when he sees that somebody says something about him, it just fuels him, which is kind of a good thing. But a lot of people call it sensitive. He's a little bit sensitive, but it's a good thing though. If you need somebody to poke you and do something to you, like I've heard an NFL player, he had a person smack him in the face or punch him in the face before every game. Like that's extra motivation.
We do that in the gym. We call it like Slap City.
Yeah,
just take off your shirt, slap you in the back, and you just get angry and you get motivated.
There you go.
I think that's what like Kevin Durant's doing.
Yeah. But it's not like it's not on him. It's on the media to poke him. So if the media keeps poking him, he's going to keep playing well. And for a lot of players, that's not the deal because you poke a player or you say stuff about a player, and then they're in the game, they're more self-conscious. They're like, hey, I have to perform. But with him, he can get buckets over anybody in the world. So it really doesn't matter. I wasn't going to put Michael Jordan, but that's a totally different thing. But yeah, the Warriors, they haven't been playing to their standard. Even yesterday's game, we can transition into that. Even yesterday, they weren't playing great. They're just playing good.
They're just playing smart to me. They just realistically speaking, they only won by 4 points, which isn't a huge margin.
Yeah, against the Clippers, that's not a huge margin either. So
against the Rockets, they only won by 4 points, and it's like if James Harden would have made a three or in another free throw,
or they would have called 2-3 fouls.
If those fouls didn't go their way, then they could be looking at a loss in game one. But I just wanted to ask you what you think about the whole landing spot, foul, because the rule is you have to give the offensive player a spot to land. Right. But a lot of people have argued that in some of the clips, and I've watched some of the clips, and some of them are clearly fouls that were not called. Right. Me personally, I still don't think that they were robbed of a game one win. I still think that the Warriors
they had a chance. Yeah, if you remember at the end of the game, they were down by 3, and I think was it Chris Paul or Eric Gordon? I think one of them stepped out of bounds when they was down 3, or was it Harden? I think it was Harden. It was down 3, and I think somebody passed Harden the ball, and he was out of bounds in the corner.
Yeah,
and they were down 3.
Yeah.
So they could have won. They had a chance to win, but yeah, the whole officiating in the NBA is just ridiculous. I don't get how these guys get paid, and there's 3 of you guys on the court, right? On 3 different spaces. Well, I guess you could say spaces in the court. How could you not get it right? And if you don't get it right, why can't we bend the rules to where the people that are in the in Jersey, they have the lab where they review and all that. Why can't them people? Why can't they tell the refs to overturn the call or stuff like that? And why can't certain calls be overturned in the heat of the moment? I'm pretty sure they have Bluetooths in their ear or something like that.
Yes.
Or I don't know if they do, but
they should.
And then you have the people from the lab, I guess. From the lab, I guess. Tell them if they're wrong or right. Be like, hey, Joe, that's wrong. You need to overturn it. Blah blah blah. It took 3 steps, or stuff like that. Well, fouls. I don't think if you call a foul, it can't be overturned. But you changing a call should at least be overturned, especially if it's whose possession. Stuff like that happens so many times where the refs get it wrong, and it's usually at the end of games. Like, if it happens in the first quarter, blah blah blah, it's not a big deal. But it's the fourth quarter, somebody's down by 2 or 1, or the game is tied. Whoever gets possession next, most likely is gonna win. So stuff like that, man. It's just gotta. I don't know. They have to go during the summer. They gotta have a meeting and with the refs and their committee.
I completely agree.
It's ridiculous.
There was a story that came out that showed that the Rockets are like compiling, statistic-based evidence saying like that the referees favor the Warriors.
Bro, I just seen a picture on Instagram earlier today that one of the refs of yesterday's game, he was wearing one of KD sneakers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, he can wear whatever sneakers he wants, but I found that funny.
But like, it's kind of just how it is in the NFL. With the past like playoffs that
God, the NFL.
But like, I think there should be a rule that like I understand like the argument in the NFL was you can't stop and review every call. I understand that, but
because as a fan watching the game, especially if you're watching a football game, which is 3.5, 4 hours sometimes.
Yeah,
that's a lot of time, So, and then you're prolonging it. But and if it does happen, you have to find out a way to make it not as long, because we can't have the officials, because sometimes you'll be watching a game or whatever, and it'll be a close game, and the officials are there for like 2 or 3 minutes just reviewing the call, and it's like the commentators and everybody, well, whether it's Twitter or the people you have around you, and you're like, or it's Knicks ball, it's Raptor ball, like everybody can see that like DeRozan touched it last, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why they take too much time, and sometimes they be getting that stuff wrong. And that's ridiculous.
Because
it's ridiculous.
So here's like the way I see like how to fix this referee problem. First of all, only 3 referees on the court. That's too little to me.
They can't. Look, I've actually looked it up. 4 is too much. It's a little too congested on the court, I would say. But maybe you would have another 2, like somewhere baseline courtside or something like that. Instead of on the, I was about to say on the field, on the court. Maybe you have guys that are in the stands or something like that looking, because you can't have more than 3 guys, because
it just
there's a lot of movement.
There's already
10 guys,
referees hitting into players.
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
I also feel like the people in the media center in the lab, like they should be able to say to referees like, hey, I'm looking at it from my position, that was a foul. Like,
yeah, because usually the guys in the lab, they're retired refs, and you watch games too, so you see this is one guy that comes on, and he usually always gets the calls right. He's like, hey, Clay was in Harden's shooting space. He stepped on his foot. That should have been 3 free throws. And the guys that are actually reffing the game, they just don't call it. They swallow their whistle. And I get it. You can't call every foul, but enough is enough.
And like I definitely don't think like coaches should be given like flags to throw in and like say challenge this play.
I mean, like, that's a decent idea, but this ain't the NFL, man.
Yeah, because the thing that makes the NBA so great is that it's fast paced, and that's gonna take away from the entire like the pace of the game. It's gonna slow down the pace of the game extremely. Because every single time somebody doesn't agree with the call, they're gonna throw in a flag.
That's true, but you should at least just give him one, because you can't have him like one each half. That's too much. Just give them one, so they use it wisely.
But
and
like
same thing with, or you can do the NFL rule. If you want to use one and you lose the call, you lose a timeout or 2.
Yeah,
which in the NBA is not is big in the NFL, because in the NFL you got to 2-minute drill. You need timeout and stuff like that. But
just like one last thing, like I watched a lot of the clips from the game this morning,
right?
And there was a lot of times where like I can clearly see James Harden throwing his feet forward. Like I believe there was one against Draymond Green that I saw him clearly throwing his feet forward. Like he looked like he was falling before falling backwards on his back before he even touched Draymond Green. But on the flip side, there were also a few where I can see Harden's arm clearly get hit, or his, the one with Klay Thompson, that was clearly a foul.
I seen the one with Chris Paul. A lot of people saying that he kicked out his legs and stuff like that. I mean, all of these guys kick out their legs.
A lot of players,
especially if you're especially if you're shooting a step back. You kick out your legs. Like when I shoot personally, I kick out my legs, but it's not an intent to kick somebody in the balls or something like that. Like, it's just a natural instinct. But if you see a guy kicking out to a point where it's like, come on, man, you're doing it a little too much. The Rockets, they shoot a lot of threes, and sometimes when shots aren't falling, they'll try to get a call. So sometimes, I can see why. But the rule in the book is if you're shooting and somebody hits your hand, that's a foul. All right, so I'm just going to talk about the Chris Paul play, right? You've seen the Chris Paul play, right? Where I think it was Livingston, he hit him on the hands. Like they were smacking high five in the middle of the shot.
The hand doesn't count though. The hand is considered part of the ball. So
no. But like if you didn't get a part of the ball, so let's say like after a player releases it and then you smack the hand, that's a foul, right? So that's what happened, and they didn't call it. That should have been a foul, even though Chris Paul kicked out his legs. Livingston hit him on the hand first. Whistle.
Yeah.
So you gotta do.
But like I just feel like in addition to all that, I feel like when James Harden came after the game and said, and like these fouls need to be called, these and
it's not even
like he compared it to Kawhi Leonard, the Kawhi Leonard situation. I
totally forgot about that, honestly.
I personally, I didn't really, not that I didn't like it, but I was like,
it's two different
things. I felt like,
bro.
It was completely different things because, I understand when you fall and you roll your ankle on another player's leg, like you could fracture your ankle, you could get hurt pretty badly, and look what happened to Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, he's out for like a year or two.
But one thing that he didn't say is that before Kawhi got hurt, his ankle was already bothering him. Like coming into that series, I remember Kawhi was like, he was on the injury report. He was like questionable coming into the game, and then obviously we all remember, he killed that game, and then he got.
James Harden was like, he manipulates the referees. We all know James Harden does that.
Everybody knows that. He's a master at it.
He's getting upset because the referees were not on his side. They were on his side the entire regular season.
Oh yeah, when he hooks players around the arm and then just shoots.
Even against like Utah, like you saw Ricky Rubio defending him backwards.
We went through this. That was a terrible idea.
And it's like James Harden has no right to talk because the referees have been manipulated by him all this time. So he cannot say that the referees need to call fouls. He's gotten too spoiled and too he's just upset because the referees aren't on his side for once, because the referees always seem like they are.
Okay, now I'm 50-50 with this, right? Because what you said about him manipulating the refs and then basically coddling him and feeding him or whatever. Yeah. So they're like, he's like their son, right? He's like their son. But one thing that he did say is that I just want a fair game officiated. I think that's 100% true.
I agree. Yes,
it's 100% true. So yeah, they do kind of. Can't say that. They do kind of give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to every single call. We need better officiated games, which is right. Which is right. Everybody knows that the Rockets. I think what is he their owner? Daryl Morey. He goes on Twitter and he always talks about stuff like that, and he's complaining and everybody's complaining. I think Rudy Gobert, he like quoted a tweet about Harden. He was like, man, we couldn't play defense like that in the series. And everybody's like, man, the guy's salty, this and this and that. But he's gonna be fine.
I mean, there's a little truth behind that,
It is true. It is true. because of Harden in the regular season, their coach came up with a game plan, which we all know didn't work. Coach came up with a game plan to where they had to guard him a different way, and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't get the benefit of the doubt for the reps, they would just probably play him straight up.
Yeah, but just to end on the Rockets, they didn't lose because of the officiating. They lost because they weren't hitting shots.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's always the problem with them.
Mm-hmm. PJ Tucker was 0 for 4. Chris Paul didn't hit a lot of shots. James Harden,
he shot terribly, but he got his points.
Mm-hmm.
He gets his points.
They just should have made their shots, and that's why they lost. Because
Eric Gordon, he had a couple of shots that he could have made that could have tied the game or gave them a lead late in the fourth quarter. It's this. I can't even say that. It's the same stuff, different day. It's the same stuff with the Rockets. We already know they should have went to the finals last year, Game 6 and 7. The threes, man, it's just. We're never. I don't think we're ever just gonna stop talking about that because as long as D'Antoni is coaching, he's not just gonna tell them, "Hey, take mid-range jumpers." No, we're gonna be analytical. We're gonna shoot layups and threes, which statistically, sounds right. But if you have an open mid-range jumper, take it. Take it. Especially you missed 27 threes in a row. I still don't get it to this day. That pissed me off watching that game. But yeah, so I think this series has potential to go 7 because obviously the Rockets are the only team not the only. I say they have the highest chance out of any team in the league to beat the Warriors. Besides the Raptors, I would say have the second. But yeah, I say Warriors 7. I think they take it to 7.
I agree. 6 or 7.
6 is reasonable. 6 is reasonable. So. But yeah, going back to some of the first round series, most of them are pretty boring, if we're being real. Even the Spurs and Nuggets series that went to 7, that series is boring as hell. I watched some of the games and I was like, it was a snooze fest. It was a snooze fest. But in game 7 though, right? The Spurs, they were down by I think 4 with about 22 seconds left, and they didn't foul.
Yeah.
Why are you not fouling? And I know Popovich is on he's on the court at this point, telling him, he's yelling, foul. And LaMarcus Aldridge is just looking at Jokic at the top of the key. He's just like, bro, the shot clock is off.
Yeah, even as a player, you should be smart enough to know, hey, I should foul at this time. Even sometimes, even if the coach tells you don't do something, sometimes the coach makes mistakes. Exactly. Sometimes you have to take the executive decision and just foul.
Pop is yelling. He's his face is red. Pop, his face is red and stuff like that. When he's mad, you can see it, you can tell. So he's on the sideline, just about on the court. He was yelling, and he's right next to them, and they can't hear him. But shout out to the Denver crowd though for making it that loud to where he's basically right next to some of the players, and they can't even hear him.
True.
That's what's up to them. And Jokic had a monster first round series. He almost averaged a triple-double. And this ain't a Westbrook triple-double we talking about. This is efficient triple-doubles that come with winning and unselfishness. So
legitimate, I didn't go out there and aim for this triple-double. He just got it.
Yeah, and I actually seen a little interview with him. He said he's been playing this way ever since he was a child. He said a point makes one person happy, an assist makes two people happy. And I like that. I wasn't the biggest Jokic fan, obviously, because I thought Porzingis was better. I was crazy, but But yeah, Jokic, man, he's growing on me. But I got Portland in 6. So yeah,
I got Portland in 5.
Oh, 5.
I don't know. I feel like Damian Lillard, with the way that he performed in the first round, man,
he was killer in the first round.
He was amazing. He was just
killer in the first round.
I can't even put it into words, because especially that last shot. That last shot is gonna probably, between that one and the one a couple years ago against Houston,
right?
And I think in the playoffs, those two are gonna go down as just greatest plays of all time.
This one has got it. This one is absolutely better. I watched the first one. First one was pretty good, but this one was just unreal now,
because it was farther. It was from somebody who Paul George should have defended him.
And it's not only that. It's not only
Mhm.
that, but it's the events that led up to the series. So, obviously everybody knows that Nurkic broke his leg, right?
Mhm.
And then
And the trash talk between the rivalry between those two teams.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. Yeah, and the trash talk with him and Westbrook, they're joining at it every series.
Mhm.
All the media writers talking about, we're not talking about, all the media writers are basically writing them off, saying that OKC is going to win the series. And I did too. I thought OKC without Nurkic, I thought they would win. Because Kanter is not. I can talk about him all day. He can't play defense, right?
Mhm.
So I thought they were just going to expose him. It's really not that hard. Get him in the pick and roll and do that. But for some reason, the Thunder weren't doing that, and that's what they get. That's what they get. But yeah, and all the trash talk between him and Westbrook, you see the clips of them just jawing and going at it. I know you've seen the clip where Dame defended Russ. Right, and then somebody else got the rebound. He's clapping, and then he pulls up from like 28-30 on the other end. It's just like, man, he was different. Because I remember the first shot of the series, this man Dame comes up the court from 30, splash. I was like, oh, this man means business. This man means business. This man means business. So he started off with a bang, and this has been his best playoff series of his career. He's been, he did everything. He did everything. So, oh yeah. By the way, that last game 5, what I was gonna say is that Portland, they were down by like, I want to say like 12 or 15 or something like that. Because I think Schroeder hit a 3, and I was like, should I watch the rest of this game or should I keep it on? So I go on my bed. You know what I'm saying? I'm just on my phone, and then Portland, they started to get a couple of stops. So I'm like, all right. So I get up. Go near the TV, and I'm watching it, and they're just inching away. Westbrook, brick. Paul George, brick. Turnover. Westbrook, turnover. And it's just, they're just getting a lot of stops in a row, and they're going back on the other end, and they're scoring. And it's just, I'm like, this is a perfect story. Because when they started to get stops and kept scoring, I was like, they're going to find some way to win. Because Dame, by the way, not only was he hit that game winner, he ended up with 50. So he had 10 threes in that game. He was hitting step back threes in people's face. And I was
50th point.
I was like, man, yeah, exactly. I was just like, man, this, just give it to him and get out the way at this point. But down the stretch, CJ was hitting some shots. He had like a step back to like tie the game or something like that. And then I think Westbrook missed a shot or something like that. And then they got the ball. And then, of course, everybody in the whole building knew that Dame was going to shoot the shot. And then, when he was dribbling the ball down to like 4 seconds, I was like, this guy is going to pull up from here. Because, he walks the ball up the court. I'm like, all right, you're taking time off the clock. There's no shot clock. It's tie game. You have nothing to lose if you miss the shot. So I'm just sitting there like, all right, the clock is ticking. I don't see no pick and roll, It's just him, 1-4 flat. Him, everybody get up out the way. And then Steph Curry is in the corner. He's talking trash to the Thunder bench. It's like, man, it just set up for a perfect ending. And then he hits that step back. I was like, as soon as he launched it, I was like, bro, this probably is going to go in. Man. And Paul George, he played some good defense on it, though. Even though he said it was a bad shot. The guy has already, to that point, he's made 9 threes. He's on fire. Anything for him is not a bad shot at that point.
It was absolutely not a bad shot. I think it was probably the best shot that Dame could have taken at that time, because I don't know if we've said this yet, but Damian Lillard is a 39% shooter from beyond 30 feet.
And
Paul George is a 39% shooter from 3-point range in general.
Yeah, like Dame and Steph are the only 2 guys in the league that you're trusting to pull up from there. Only 2 guys. 2.
Yeah.
2 out of 200 something players. 2. So he's special. And you gotta learn how to pick him up. Like, how Steph gets that treatment, when once he passes half court, they double team him or they play him tight. He's got to have that same treatment. You see what happened last year. Last year he was playing terrible, but they had Jrue on him. But as soon as he would come to half court, they would double him. that's what you got to do. And I don't get why they didn't just take a page out of their book from last year and just do the same thing. Before the series, I think I said it on the show. I was like, look, all you got to do is do what the Pelicans did last year with Gentry and, and then what he did. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Mm-hmm. But guess what? They didn't do it, and they played him straight up, and they got cooked. That's what you get. That's what you get.
But
it's a great series, though. 5 games. It was
a very great series.
It was a great series.
Yes. I'm just happy because
the hot takes on Westbrook is it's flaming right now.
Yeah, it is. And Westbrook, he said, you know what? I just want to say this real quick.
There you go.
He said, this summer I will start to work on my shooting.
Bro, you've been in the league for 10 years, bro.
Exactly. Not only that, but by saying that he said there shouldn't be any criticism around him. That he's done everything, he's performed at a high level. So nobody should be criticizing him. That's false, because no matter who you are, they're criticizing LeBron James. LeBron James is the best player in the world. They're going to criticize everybody. They
criticize Jordan. Mm-hmm. They criticize Bird. They criticize Magic. They criticize Wilt, Dr. All the greatest. It don't matter how great you are. Even if Jesus Christ himself.
They criticize you. They crucify him.
Yeah, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody is safe from this slander. Nobody.
There's no matter what you do, there's always going to be people like that one that like hate on you or bring you down. And I'm not saying that people like the people who are quote unquote hating or bringing Westbrook down, like they have reason behind it.
Yeah.
They have they look at the numbers, the stats. Like exactly. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. You like you can say, "Oh, I feel like Westbrook's better than this guy or that guy." That's just feelings. Statistics do not lie. Shooting like 3 for 18 from the field does not lie. Westbrook
shooting 18% from 3.
18% from 3.
That's not good, Chief. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you just need to mail it in, bro.
There's some centers that shoot better than 18% from 3.
A lot of centers nowadays. A lot of centers. Karl Towns shoots 40% from 3. You know what I'm saying?
Like. So, by saying, "Hey, I'm going to work on my shooting," he's acknowledging that there's criticism, and he's acknowledging that
at least he's finally admitting it, though.
Who say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said at least he's finally admitting it, though. Cause
at least, but like
he's ignorant though. When it comes to people telling him what he needs to do, he just brushes it off. He's
Russell Westbrook is very hard-headed, and he's very he has a fixed mindset. He says, "I'm Russell Westbrook. I do this and this, and I want to do that, and I'm not going to do anything else."
Yeah.
He doesn't acknowledge, like, say, "Hey, maybe I should work on my shooting. Maybe I should work on my defense." He doesn't do that. I don't know how. Like he practices in the gym at summer because like you can't he probably like hires somebody to like brick shots, and then he practices getting the rebound or something like that.
Well, one thing I could say, he stays in shape though. Like his conditioning is he's never tired.
He needs to focus on his shooting. Like,
it's been like, bro, he's been in the league for 10 years, bro. He's been in the league since 2008. I think he's going on his 11th season next year. So I don't get it.
The last time he
even D Rose, his mid-range jumper is somewhat reliable,
and even his 3.
Recently, yes. His 3 has been better. But a lot of guys, I use this example so much with this show, but Brook Lopez is a prime example. The league is changing. He went from a post player when he was with the New Jersey and Brooklyn Nets, and now he's a stretch 5. That's all you have to do is work on it. It took him about 2 or 3 years to work on it, but now you see the results. His percentages aren't the greatest, but he's a threat out there. You're not going to leave the guy open. So
this just like
somebody needs to lock him in the gym, man.
The thing I don't like about Westbrook, and the reason I critique him a lot and just like, for lack of a better term, like complain about him, is because to me Westbrook is a very selfish player. I don't care how many assists he gets. I don't care about anything. He's a very selfish player. Steven Adams arguably could be one of the best centers in the league. Steven Adams arguably could be a top 5 center in the league, but with Westbrook, Steven Adams isn't getting rebounds. Steven Adams could average 12 rebounds a game, but he's not.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, easily.
Easily. And then Russell Westbrook just averaging triple-double, he kind of like, convinces his team, to like, hey, like box the other centers out so I can get that rebound. Like when I pass it to you and if you're even a little open, just shoot it. And it's like, obviously, like he doesn't straightforward say these things to them. I mean, we never know, But Russell Westbrook. So Kevin Durant left. The last time that he won a playoff series was when Kevin Durant was on the team.
Yeah, we all remember what
what
series that was.
Mhm.
Series that was, but
so he hasn't won a playoff series since then. Since then, yes, he's averaged three triple doubles consecutively.
Now we're not gonna take that away from him.
Yeah,
that ain't easy to do.
I'm not. It's not easy to do, but it's not translating. It's not exactly. It's not like there's no way a player. If you all right, I'm gonna say this. Mm-hmm. If you average 3 triple doubles for 3 consecutive seasons, and then you can't win a playoff series, you always get first rounded. You won one playoff game this year. You're like usually around like the 6th seed, 5 seed, or something like that, and you're not towards the higher seeds. Mm-hmm. Then I mean there must be something around the triple double that isn't legit to me, which I don't believe his triple doubles are legit. I've seen footage of centers boxing other centers out for him to get a triple double. But he needs to change his game. Mm-hmm. First of all, triple doubles are nice.
I have it right here.
You don't really need triple doubles. I don't need my point guard to be catching rebounds. It's not something I need my point guard to do. I need my point guard to score and pass. And I need my point guard to be a good leader.
This is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I don't need my point guard to get rebounds because that's an extra 5 seconds when you could be running up the court. You could be up by the other 3-point line by the time the center catches the rebound and passes it to you. Do you have some stats there?
Yeah, I do. I looked up. So we're going to look up his percentages, right, in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So in the regular season, it doesn't matter right now. So obviously the last 3 years ever since KD left, right? The first year, we're not giving nobody passes. His first year, he shot almost 30. He shot 38%, right, from the field. Mm-hmm. Last year, shot 39% from the field. This year, 36 in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. 2 years ago, he shot 26% from 3. Last year, he shot 35, which is actually a pretty decent mark for him. Mm-hmm. And this year, he shot 32. But the thing about him is that, so 2 years ago, he shot almost 10 threes a game. Last year, 7. This year, 7. 7 is way too much. Mm-hmm. 2 to 3 is fine for you. 2 to 3 is fine. You know, mm-hmm. You make 1 out of 3, 33%. All right, that's fine. Exactly. That's fine. Yeah, he's taking way too many threes, and the turnovers. A lot of the guards nowadays that have the ball in their hands so much, they have a lot of turnovers. So I'm not going to use that to him as a disadvantage. But mm-hmm. This year specifically, he averaged 22 points. This is Russell Westbrook we're talking about. He won the scoring title 2 years ago, averaging 22 points in the playoffs. It's unacceptable. 36% unacceptable. We can't have it either.
I completely agree.
Yeah. The only thing that was really great was his free throw percentage, which he's always been a really good free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. I give him that, but it's not good. He's never, let's see, I'm going to look at all his playoff stats throughout his whole career. He has only shot over 45% from the field in the playoffs once. And that was his second season in the league. And that was his second season in the league back in 2009-10. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Little interruption. But yeah, he's only shot over 45% once, and that was the mm-hmm. first time he was in the playoffs. Like, come on, man. Like, this is ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It's getting ridiculous.
I think he needs to change his play style. He needs to change his ways, or he's not going to be looked at as, the big, great Russell Westbrook, the monster that everyone, looked at him.
Actually, his first playoff run was actually pretty good. He averaged 21 points on 47% from the field and 41 from 3. So as far as efficiency, second year Russell Westbrook is better than year 10. That's not a good look. Mm-hmm. That's not luck. It's not
Wow,
a good
that's
look.
crazy.
That's not a good look. You know. And granted, it was only 6 games, but still, that's not good. Not good at all. Yeah, we can get off of this Westbrook talk, man. We could honestly, if we was being real, we could honestly just have a show about the Thunder and talk about everybody on the team and what they need to do. You know, and their GM has been, he's been good but not great. They need shooters in order for that team to be better. You know, they can't have Terrence Ferguson being a starting shooting guard for your team. You know, Roberson isn't going to help, and nobody's trading for that contract. Jeremy Grant's okay, but it's like they need more shooting. That's really all they need in order for them to take the next step. You know, Paul George, he was hurt, but he still played like trash. Let's not forget that too. Let's not forget that. So, yeah, it was just not good. It's not good at all.
It's not.
It's not good.
So, I mean, maybe we could talk about the East and the playoffs a little bit.
Yeah, because press on time, but just to wrap up the first round, a couple of sweeps, Detroit and Milwaukee. Nobody want to watch that crap. Don Maker got really abused. He was getting abused. I feel bad for him. I want to give him a trophy.
This is the same guy who says, I want a bigger role on the team. He requested a trade because he wants, a bigger role or whatever.
Giannis was dunking on him, putting his nutsack. He was just dunking all over. I really feel bad for the dude though. Like he was just getting straight abused, and he can't do nothing about it because Giannis is just that good. But I want to give a shout out to Blake though. He came back and he he played, made the games competitive.
Definitely.
So and he was basically on one leg. Like he had a big knee brace on his leg. Much credit to Blake. Free Blake, by the way. It's always free Blake. Get him out of Detroit. But that series was a wash. The Indiana series, they didn't have enough scoring. They got swept by the Celtics. The Raptors, they handled the Magic. It was an okay series. They honestly should have swept them. But 5-game series, they got their job done, right? And the last series was, what was the last series?
The Celtics Pacers.
No, I said that already. Celtics Pacers. You had the Raptors Magic.
Sixers.
Oh, Sixers Nets, that was interesting. But the Sixers, they're just too good for the Nets. Nobody, just like I said before, Joel Embiid killed the Sixers in the regular season. He did the same thing to them in the playoffs. So yeah, that's it. That's it. But the second round matchups are all 4 of them. Is it 4? Right? It's 4. Yeah. All 4 of them are great. We talked about the Warriors and the Rockets earlier. The Sixers and the Raptors. I think the Raptors are going to beat them in 5, but
I think so too.
Yeah, because the Sixers, they just don't have enough for the Raptors, but that's a different thing. That's a great series. And then you have Boston and Milwaukee, and Boston had they punched Milwaukee in the face.
They had a lot of fun yesterday with that game. Kyrie Irving was
leading the team.
Great.
I know you've seen that block Horford had on Giannis.
Oh yes, that was
disrespectful.
It was twice in one play. That was very, very disrespectful.
Yeah, that was.
If you can stop Giannis in the paint, then you have a very good chance of winning.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did.
Boston has a very good chance of winning if they continue to do that.
Yeah, I seen a tweet that said all right, so it was a picture of a deer in the headlights, and it said Giannis when he doesn't have to go up against Bruce Brown and Don Maker, because the Celtics, we all know Brad Stevens is a great coach and this and that, but they have guys that can defend him. Like you got Horford, Baines, you got Jaylen Brown, you have all these like 6'8" guys.
Yeah,
and that crash the paint easily. So once he drives, he has 3 bodies on him every time he drives. And it's harder for him to pass when there's 3 guys on you instead of 1 or 2. So they did exactly what you're supposed to do to stop him. Do I think it'll continue? Kind of, because he's gonna find a way. Because everybody knows when he goes to the lane, he does that. I'm not gonna say crappy, but he does that same Euro step when he goes to the lane. Whatever. He has the same moves.
Yeah, he does.
So I'm pretty sure the coaching staff was like, hey, this is what he does. Look, watch out for this and this and that.
Like Giannis is starting to develop his jumper a little bit.
Yeah, at least
he's not.
That's the problem with Ben Simmons. That's a different story, but that's the problem with Ben Simmons though. You can't at least make them respect it. I think he made a 3 the last game, the game 1 against Boston. I think he made a 3. but he at least he attempts like 2 or 3 a game. That's all you got to do. You know, if they leave you open, they sag off you. You know, just shoot a couple. Shoot a
Yeah.
couple.
And once you start getting comfortable,
He can make
like,
one.
doing it.
He's capable of making one. He's not that bad. You know, he's not Shaq. So, you know, he can make one. So, yeah. But for the Bucks, yeah, they gotta find a way to free Giannis up. I don't know how they would do it because Boston is playing how exactly you're supposed to play. Basically, kind of like a 5-out offense. You know, you play 2K. Basically, a 5-out. You know, him and 4 shooters. They played it perfectly. So they just got to find something different. Maybe they got to evolve him in the pick and roll a little bit more as a roll man or something like that. Just find different ways to get him involved, not just him having the ball in his hands all the time. Like they have Bledsoe. You know, he can handle the ball. You know, George Hills. You know, he's okay. He can handle the ball. So.
Yeah, they need to just like the Bucks, in my opinion, they need to play as a team and not as, you know, I understand they run the offense through Giannis, but I feel like Giannis does everything.
They're Giannis. The Bucks are Giannis.
The Bucks are Giannis, yes. And I feel like they should start to play as a team and start to like not that they don't give other guys chances, but like
it kind of speaking of that, my bad. It kind of hurts that they don't have Malcolm Brogdon. And he was a really he was a really big part of their regular season success. And you know, Chris Middleton, he gets the job done. He's a really good player, but excuse me, Brogdon he's my bad. He's their glue guy.
Yeah. Do you know when Brogdon's supposed to come back? Is it soon? If it's a couple games?
I think it might be a couple of games. I think
because if he comes back, he can definitely change the series.
Oh yeah. He's a great 3-point shooter. He defends. He's like a solid basketball player. You know, he doesn't do anything well, and you know when you watch him, you don't be like, wow,
but he doesn't do anything like bad.
Yeah, like he's good. He's good. He's just a good basketball player. Like, you know, if you imagine a guy that's a starter, he's good at everything. You know, he can handle the ball. He can make, plays good defense. He can shoot the ball. You know, he's smart. He's not a troublemaker. Like he's just like a good basketball player.
Absolutely,
he's a good basketball player. But yeah, they need him. They need him if they want to win the series. If he doesn't play, they don't win. And you know, that gives the Celtics a little bit more of an advantage because they really don't need Marcus Smart in this series because Giannis, we already know Giannis is like 6'11", 7 feet guy. They don't really need Marcus Smart. They don't have a guy on the perimeter that's like Marcus Smart needs to be on the court and he needs to defend him. They don't have a guy like that. So Marcus Smart, he can heal a little bit more, take his time. And I got the Celtics. I had the Celtics win even before that game 1 and you know that butt whipping. So
to me, it's a complete toss-up. I'm not really sure who's going to win. I want the Celtics to win because I think that obviously the Raptors could beat the Celtics, but I don't think
that would just be a great series right there. Raptors.
It would be a great series, but I think the Raptors would beat them. But I would say so. I'm not 100% sure if the Raptors would beat the Bucks for some reason.
Maybe it's just a matchup type of thing, right?
Yeah, just the matchups. That's really what it is.
Because just like I said, Boston, they have guys that they can throw on Giannis. They have a lot of wing guys, like 6'8", 6'9" guys that you know just throw a body on them and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think the Raptors are a really good matchup for the Bucks because obviously one of the best defenders in the game, you have Kawhi. And he's also one of the best offensive players in the game too. But you don't want to tire him out and stuff like that. And you know, you have Siakam who's blossomed this playoffs. He's been playing absolutely great. But you don't really want them guarding Giannis because Giannis draws a lot of fouls and you don't want one of them two in foul trouble because those are your two best players. You don't want one of those two in foul trouble. So yeah, that's not a really good matchup. But I still do think that Boston will win. You know, you can quote me on this. I hate Boston, but I think they're gonna win. They're gonna win. And just like we said earlier, we got the Nuggets and the Blazers. I got the Blazers. It's gonna be really weird that one of the Nuggets or the Blazers are gonna face the Warriors in the conference finals. Like that's
weird. That's very, very weird.
It's like the Warriors are playing their best matchup right now in the second round.
The Blazers were the second seed, right?
No, Nuggets were the second seed.
Blazers were the second seed. Okay.
And the Rockets were the fourth.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. The Blazers, they won that game at the end of the season, that last game, and
Mhm.
that moved the Rockets down.
Man,
Sucks for
the
the
Nuggets
Rockets.
would get destroyed by the Warriors. The Trailblazers maybe take a game or two.
That's what I'm hoping, because I know if you remember in the regular season, I remember the Nuggets they were the first seed for a minute. For a minute, for like most of the season, in the Warriors, they was like, we're gonna turn it on. But the Nuggets, they were the first seed, and they were. I wasn't saying they were talking their stuff, but they were getting a little too comfortable being the first seed, and then the Warriors was like, you know what, we're gonna come in, we're gonna bust that, you know what, and they came in their house and they just
Absolutely
smacked them. So yeah, if the Nuggets play the Warriors, that would be a sweep. I just wouldn't want that. But I do think Portland would beat the Nuggets because they have nobody to guard Dame. Like I like Gary Harris and stuff like that. I like Jamal Murray, but them two, I think just them two, Dame and CJ, they have no answer for themselves at all. So yeah, that. And Dame's he's playing his best ball of his career, just like we said earlier.
But
nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop him. So I don't think nobody will. And he's gonna carry, well, not him, but him and CJ, they're gonna carry the Blazers, even without, because Kanter's hurt now. He got hurt when he tackled Dame on the game winner. But even without him, I still
that's funny.
That's a total Kanter way to get hurt. But yeah, I still think they'll beat the Nuggets. They'll beat the Nuggets. It'll be close though. It'll be close.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's 2:00 on the dot. That's it. This is the last show of the semester. We will be back in August.
We will be back. Definitely.
We'll be back. So for the last time for the spring semester 2019, I'm Deron.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're Hoops Talk. Have a nice summer. The Warriors will win the NBA title. The Knicks will get the #1 pick. We love you.
And KD will go to the Knicks.
That too.